The silence that followed the closing of the null gate was heavier than the battle itself. On the bridge of the starship Kronos, James Michaels IV stood alone by the viewing port. His reflection ghosted against the backdrop of a moon that shouldn't exist. A jagged, luminous scar ran across its surface. Glowing with the remnants of temporal energy, it was stable, but the cost of that stability was written in the stars. Beside him, Anya stirred. Her breathing was shallow, tuned to the fading hum of the ship's stabilizers. She had reached into the source code of reality to seal the gate, and the strain left faint, silvery lines tracing her fingertips like liquid circuit boards. "The resonance," she whispered, her eyes still closed. "It hasn't stopped, James. It has only changed frequency." James looked at his own hands. They were steady. The shadow of himself, the man who would have chosen survival over purpose, was gone, merged back into the sea of possibility. But the memory remained. He knew now what he was capable of when his why was stripped away. The quiet was shattered by a sharp, dissonant static, screaming through the ship's comms. Warning lights pulsed a rhythmic, urgent amber. The view screen blurred, and suddenly, the void was no longer empty. Hundreds of flickering, translucent vessels began to phase into existence. They were a graveyard of ghosts, variants of the Kronos, scout ships from fallen empires, and civilian transports from timelines that had been erased the moment the gate closed. These were the echoes of time. "James," Anya said, her voice trembling. "They aren't attacking. They're screaming. Their frequencies are hitting the hull. They have nowhere left to go. They are the casualties of the resolution," James replied, his voice low. "Every timeline I didn't choose is out there, clinging to the edge of reality." A sudden metallic thud vibrated through the floor plates. It wasn't a weapon strike, but the heavy lock of a docking clamp. "Commander!" the tactical officer shouted. "A boarding party has breached Hangar 4. They aren't using tech. They are phase-shifting through the bulkheads." James met them in the main corridor. The leader of the Echoes wore a uniform James recognized. It was his own, but charred and tattered. This version of James Michaels IV was scarred, his eyes clouded with the gray mist of a man who had watched his entire universe blink out of existence. The Echo leader raised a jagged, phasing pulse rifle. "You saved the equation, Captain," he spat, "but you murdered 10 trillion lives to do it. My daughter vanished in my arms the second you sealed that gate. Tell me, does your purpose feel heavy yet?" "I chose the only path that kept the core of the multiverse from shattering," James said, his hand hovering over the hilt of his blade. "A distinction without a difference to the dead," the Echo leader replied. "If there is no room for us in your stable universe, we will turn your ship into our new tomb." As the Echo leader prepared to fire, the lights on the Kronos did not flicker, they inverted. The shadows became brilliant, and the light became solid. The corridor expanded into infinity, the metal walls dissolving into a golden lattice of shimmering woven threads. Standing at the center of this infinite workshop was the celestial architect, CAPTAINMIZZL. He did not look like a warrior. He looked like a creator, weary of a messy workshop. "Enough!" the architect's voice boomed, echoing not in the air, but within their minds. "The foundation is set, but the house is cluttered." "Architect," James said, shielding his eyes from the brilliance of the lattice. "You let the gate close. You watched it all. I provided the materials, James. You did the masonry," CAPTAINMIZZL replied calmly. "But these echoes are the shavings on the floor. You cannot simply sweep them away. A true master of time understands that nothing is ever truly lost. It is only misplaced." The Echo leader cried out, "Give us back our timelines." "Impossible," the architect replied.